okay, I'm not a pianist, you know.
I was drinking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, I took it to an extreme.
Jesus.
I gained a lot of weight.
Saad. It was the first time for me, you know, standing in front of these like huge monitors and screens with all this lighting around.
Yeah, more lighting than here.
And then they changed all my submissions, my compositions from copyrightable to not copyrightable and stuff like this on ASCAP.
Yeah,
Right.
but cheers. Cheers.
Sorry,
thanks for coming.
cheers. Thank you for having
Don't
me.
say sorry. Cheers. Thank
I'm
you.
still impressed by this apartment. I have to like.
You say apartment?
Sorry, house. Yeah, you
Yeah,
see, New
yeah,
York's
yeah.
coming back to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, thanks for coming. So you're like I think you're the second person to be published on the channel, but you're the third person here.
Cool.
So far.
Yeah, I'm
and
honored.
hopefully more
Thank
people
you.
coming by.
Thank you.
To chat and talk about what they're up to and everything that has to do with being a composer and musician
Yes.
today. We had Joe Monticello. Do you remember Joe Monticello? Joseph Monticello?
Oh,
the
yes.
flute player?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was here. I posted something about him, us talking.
I will have to check that.
Yeah.
It's cool. You're having like, this is gonna be the place to be here for like musicians. Yes.
I hope so, because it's nice because people can get out of, like right now we're in New Jersey. It's like 40 minutes south of Manhattan. So I'm hoping that it's like a nice little brief like respite from go. Because yesterday I was in Manhattan because I teach at Columbia in the morning. And then I stayed there the whole day basically. I had other things to do, but I couldn't wait to get back here. You know, whereas it used to be the opposite. I can't wait to leave the apartment and do all my stuff, and now I want to go back home and just be here.
I mean, you found the perfect balance, basically. You know, between like this dichotomy of like, I mean, hectic or city life, culture, and so forth, and then also like this place to breathe.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel a little bit similar with my, you know, my place in the south of France. I mean, my parents' place. I go every summer and like. It's outside of Nice in the mountains, and it's super healthy. You know, after a year in New York, the only thing I think about is like going there and like just like breathe, being in nature. Like, you know, in the mountains, not many people around. There's a village my ancestors are from called Juilliard, like the shaving company, and they're like 1,500 people living in that village, and that's it.
But it's only in the summer, so you have this like 9-month activity of craziness.
Exactly.
And then
9 months of
nothing.
But then I'm so happy to leave.
Yeah.
And after like 2-3 months in the south of France, I just want to go back. So I think, you know, this balance between like hectic city life and then also a place to breathe or closer to nature, or is healthy. And in my opinion, this is it right now. You know, you can hear dude. You don't hear the subway.
I mean, my way of doing things, I guess, is I like to work all year round. Like I like to compose all the time because I just love doing it. But it's not 8 hours a day composing. I maybe compose 2-3 hours a day on average. It's not like all day.
No, I get you. It's the same for me. But I would work, you know, in France or New York and so forth. It's just like the surroundings.
Oh, the
like,
surroundings, yeah.
That's what I mean, the surroundings.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't hear the buzz of the subway here.
No, there's
like
nothing.
Anything.
There's
Exactly.
nothing
It's
here.
like
You hear the buzz sometimes of the furnace and stuff, but we just shut it off. So there's nothing down here at all. Yeah. But I feel like, especially with this idea of going, you know, back and forth, like that's why I never did a festival. I never did a festival. The last festival I did was the one in Berlin, the Fubis one, with Sam Adler.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I did back in 2011. I don't know if you did it.
I was probably there.
After. Were you there in the summer?
No, I was there always as a guest auditor for like since 2007.
Really?
Every Wednesday when he had like a guest composer
Wait,
coming I was probably there. I probably saw you. But I was always this like shy German student in the back. Yeah.
Were you there at the concerts too?
Yes. Most of the time. There were some years where I couldn't come to the concerts, but most of the time I was there.
Yeah, I mean, so this program we're talking about is called Fubis, which is a program that Sam Adler runs every summer in I think it was in Berlin. Yeah,
it's in Berlin at
Germany.
the Freie University.
Right.
That's why.
Is he still doing that?
No. I think it's been like 5 years or so that he stopped.
And you studied with him at all?
Yes, I studied.
I know you guys are close, but I don't know what the
I studied
extent
at Juilliard with him for my master's from 2013 to 15.
Okay.
My master, no, actually only 1 year, because then he retired and I studied with Stucky for 1 year.
And then and Adler came back. I remember him coming back, but maybe you were graduated by that time.
Yes, he came back only 1 year after Stephen Stucky taught, because Stephen Stucky passed away.
Yeah.
So that was the year after I graduated.
Got it.
So I had 1 year of Sam Adler, 2013, 14, then 1 year of Stephen Stucky, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And the year after that, the second year of Stephen Stucky teaching at Juilliard.
Yeah.
He passed away on February 14th.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yes, I remember it was Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And then he came back to replace, basically, like, to take over the students that Stucky had.
Yeah, but you graduated 2015.
Exactly.
The year before. So you already were out by that time.
So I had a full year of Stephen Stucky, the only full year of Stephen Stucky that he taught at Juilliard. Yeah. And the last year of Sam Adler.
What was that like? I'm really curious, because at Juilliard I was with, I'm very grateful, I was with John Corleano for both years, but I didn't get a chance to I studied with Adler, but it was when I was like 18. I didn't know anything.
At Fubis.
I was showing up to, I feel bad saying this, but I showed up to like our lessons like hungover, like I was 18.
It's Berlin. Yes.
I never touched a thing of alcohol, and here I am with like people like a few years older than me drinking up a storm, and I'm just kind of in the mix of that. And
for people who are not Americans, you should maybe say also that in Berlin you are allowed to drink alcohol when you're 18, and it's normal for us to, like, you can actually purchase alcohol when you're 16.
Yeah, but I took it to an extreme. I was drinking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I took it to an extreme. Jesus. I gained a lot of weight. Saad. I was just being stupid. 18. I didn't know anything. I was just trying to have a good time.
So how was your piece? Are you still happy about this piece? Because you have to compose. Yeah, you have to compose a piece, right?
I wrote it for 2 cellos. I'm happy with it. I don't write like that anymore, but I tried my best, and it was the best I could do at that time, but I just wish I kind of like took advantage more. Of course, looking back, I took advantage of being in the midst of, the great Sam Adler, because, he was already in his 80s at that time. Now he's in his 90s.
He's 94, he's born in 28, so.
So, it's like, you don't realize when you're that young, you're in the midst. Same thing with Steve Stucky, because I was, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in LA, I grew up in LA.
Oh yeah,
and I was
in
the
LA
LA
composer in residence.
Right, yeah. And I was in this young composer fellowship program called the LA Composer Fellowship Program, and Stucky started it. So he was like my first teacher.
That's amazing.
But I didn't know, like, I was 15, 16. I didn't know who he was. I didn't understand like where he fit in the hierarchy of.
Wow, lucky you.
I didn't know. I just thought, this is like,
That's awesome.
This is just like a professor that happens to be here. I didn't realize like he was Steve Stucky.
Yes, he was so good.
What was it like studying with him?
Like very very European style of teaching, like Sam Adler. Where you like look at what you've composed for half an hour, but then the second half you would be like discussing like more like or speaking philosophy or. So it's not like listening assignments and stuff like that. We would speak about repertoire, but then a lot of philosophy, talking about music, and also very pragmatic questions. Rehearsal, so how to approach musicians, how to speak to an orchestra, stuff like that. Stucky was a sweetheart, really nice. Actually, I'm very thankful to Stucky too, because he wrote me like, I didn't know he was really sick, like that he had like, brain cancer. So I wrote him an email and said like, dear Stephen, can you write me a letter of recommendation for applying for this for MS for Manhattan School of Music, where I did my doctoral, and he wrote me the most amazing letter of recommendation. Oh, you read it?
You've seen it?
Yeah, he wrote me the most amazing letter of recommendation, and only later, like 2 months later or so, he passed away.
So he was sick while he was writing that?
He was super sick and wrote me this letter of recommendation, going through chemo or something like this, and was just like, just afterwards, knowing that he was sick, I was just like...
He didn't tell anybody. No one knew.
I didn't know anything.
Literally no one knew. It was like a shock when he passed. Nobody knew he was sick. No one knew anything.
Yes. Yeah. So I was just like, oh my God. Like, taking the efforts to write me this letter while being sick was just like, dude, that's next level kindness. Like, so yeah, that's why I'm like, always when I speak about Stucky, I'm like very moved, you know. Like,
no, and everyone, is like my big regret is while I was at Juilliard, I kind of kept my distance from him because I didn't know if because at Juilliard there was this weird kind of like, I don't know if it's still like this, but I felt it like, you know, when you're with one professor privately, you're kind of like with that person, and you're not with the others. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like this, is that a European thing too? Or
yes, there is this kind of spirit somewhere, like, you know, you're not acolytes of a very specific teacher. But that's why I guess that we had these like forums too, or these studio classes where all the composers would come to. Remember, like, there was Christopher Rouse, Corigliano, Sam Adler.
Right, but it still felt like that was them and this is us. It didn't really, because like at USC, where I did my undergrad, it didn't feel that way because I studied with a different professor every year, so I got to know them.
Oh, this is part of the curriculum?
Yeah, and at Columbia, my doctorate, it's the same. Like I studied with Haas, Georg Friedrich Haas for 2 years, and I studied with George Lewis for a semester. Then I studied with Brad Garton, electronics for a semester.
That's good.
And there was no like, ownership is kind of a strong word, but there was no like expectation that you're going to stay with the same
I see.
Professor. I mean, a master's degree is a little bit different because only 2 years.
Only 2 years.
But even the undergrads had to stay with the same teacher for 4 years. Yes. I always thought that was strange, especially an 18-year-old like being thrust upon this vision by one person for 4 years.
I agree. I mean, the more you can get different perspective of things, the better it is for you in general. Yeah. Right. And I mean, not everyone has the same approach to music or philosophy of music or composing, whatever. So that's why I'm also very thankful, you know, to have been like studying. I studied in Berlin. I studied actually jazz composition.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
you pianist?
I mean, I'm a violinist, trained violinist. Okay. But I started playing piano when I was 14, 15, and like I studied hard, like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, you know, because in order to get into a composition program in Germany, you need to play the piano. Mm-hmm. So I knew I wanted to do that. So, I mean, I can play Schumann arabesques or like, you know, transcription of the Prelude at the Afternoon of a Faun. Yeah. Not as a concert pianist, but
but that's a good enough level to get the chords in your fingers at least. Yeah.
So jazz composition. Then I went to Juilliard to study with like Sam Adler and Steve Stucky, which is not necessarily jazz composition. And at MSM, I studied with Reiko Füting.
Oh yeah. Well, he's like complete opposite aesthetic than those two guys.
Completely different aesthetic. So more, you know, he loves Lachenmann.
Right.
He thinks he's the greatest composer alive ever. So very different. But I'm very thankful. The approaches were so different, and it's just like.
And were you with Reiko Füting for the whole? I mean, how many years did you have to study?
2 years of classwork. So 2 years of
during the doctorate program at MSM.
Okay. I spent there 5 years, but I had 2 years of classwork with Reiko.
Okay, and then after that...
I was working on my thesis and I taught.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did the first... So I kind of want to get a sense. So you did the 2 years at Juilliard, and then did you go straight into MSM? Or did you take a little break?
I had one gap year.
Okay, that's what I did too. I took a gap year.
One gap year. That was actually very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the toughest year of my life though. In the US, foreign student, like surviving, pure survival.
Yeah.
Pure survival. Teaching in Hoboken, Queens,
Were you teaching like at schools, or were you teaching privately? Oh, you would go to these.
Yes.
You would go to their houses. I mean,
it's pre-pandemic period. It's like still like.
Wow.
You know,
and you would go there.
Yeah, I would go there, not for not much pay.
Wow. But you never offered for them to come to your place, or you didn't want people coming over?
Well, I had a play. I mean, I have 2 roommates.
Oh, okay, right.
Like,
so it was not. Yeah. It wasn't conducive to you hosting them.
Yeah, it was a tough year where, like, you know, the commute and everything. It was like, and I remember I like taught in Hoboken, and then I hate the Lincoln Tunnel. I have no idea. Like, I would go there on like Sundays or something, teach for 1 hour, and then spend like sometimes 2 hours commuting back. And then because there was so much traffic in the Lincoln.
So you would go out there just for one lesson
hour,
and then come back.
Yes.
Wow.
I know, that was like tough, and I had like students everywhere in New York. But this Hoboken thing was like, every time I go in the Lincoln Tunnel, I'm just like get me out of there.
But now, you know, you can kind of get away with, well, not get away with, it's sometimes better also for the student too to have an online lesson, because they also, you know, it's also more kind of, it also depends what you're teaching, right? Like if you're teaching violin or something, it's hard to do it online. But
exactly. Ear training.
Or ear training?
That's tough online.
Really?
But theory has been the best thing ever on Zoom. I mean, it's just great. You can show things very easily.
Yeah.
You have, you know, if you want to show like scores or something, imagine you teach in person and you want to, you know, show the, I don't know, Hammerklavier Sonata or something. Oh, I don't have the score, but there you, boom, you have it. You show
you have
an
right
example,
there.
you have everything right there. So teaching music theory has been like a great experience. I mean, it's a great experience teaching music theory on online.
Yeah, and you're still doing that now.
It's a lot.
Good.
Like actually, I started teaching a student in person, and then, you know, I was in France for the holidays, and we had like one class through Zoom, and we decided to keep it on Zoom just because it's so much better.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much better.
Yeah, I teach only composition, and it's all on Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, composition is also like great. You don't need to be in person.
Yeah.
Per se, right?
And I prefer to teach composition too. I think I'm better suited for that than theory in a lot of ways. Because the theory I'm interested in is not really functional harmony. I mean, I love that stuff, but I'm not.
True.
I cannot like open up the textbook and all right, let's go over 4-part harmony today. I would just like, it's just not me. I just can't. I don't get excited about that as much as, you know, like.
Really? Yeah, I get very excited.
Really?
About that. Oh yeah.
I know people like you are. I'm just not one of those people.
Yes.
I was never like, I went to like Philip Lasser, one of the
advanced counterpoints,
you know, professors at Juilliard. But I tried to get into it, but it was hard. I mean, I really tried because everyone around me was so excited about the class. And I just sat there and I'm like, I'm trying to get it. I really am. But it's just not hitting me yet, you know.
Saad, I'm impressed that you were like, for me, these classes were like eye-opening experiences.
I know they should have been. I know they should have been eye-opening, but I just couldn't like get the whole thing with the hanging pitch.
Yes.
I just couldn't get it, you know. But I was never good at ear training anyway. I was never one of the star students at all. But.
Actually, you're not the only one though, because someone in my year, I remember, had like a real problem with this hanging pitch thing by Sam Adler too. Questioned everything. I was like, I don't think that's the case. So you either dig it or you don't. I was completely fascinated by that idea of hanging pitches. Actually, it's almost like it's a very important part when I teach like theory.
Oh, really? You know,
so
you do use some of those concepts.
I do teach counterpoint, for example. I have like 3 counterpoint students.
Okay.
And hanging pitches, definitely a part of it.
I mean, that's good. I mean, as long as it's connecting with, it definitely connects with a lot of students. Like they all kind of come out with this revelation, which is great. But, you know, that's the whole idea of what we were talking about before, is that you need to get different perspectives from different teachers because some people are going to connect with some teachers more than others.
I agree.
And if you connect with everyone, I mean, then you're not really developing your own voice, I think. I feel like, you know, to find your voice, it's inevitable that you have to make decisions of what you like and don't like.
Yes.
I mean, you have to, otherwise what are you? Just kind of like this.
Yeah, I mean, you're the sum of your experiences.
Water,
like,
you know, like this river that you're not like choosing where you're going, you're just kind of going with whatever is around it. Meandering, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, you are the sum of your experiences and of the things you like and appreciate. It's true. And I mean, composition by definition means to put together, right?
Right.
So
right. A composite.
Exactly. You put together pieces that's, you know, inspired you, or that you like. So
yeah, I mean, speaking of rivers, speaking of nature, I guess it's not a great segue, but it's the best segue.
It's a very good transition.
It's the best segue I can think of. But
it's a great transition.
This is the first time we're plugging a book here. So this is Birdsong, a musical field guide by Alexander Liebermann. So right here, so you can buy it on what is it? It's
Just a Theory Press.
Just a Theory Press.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about this, because I've seen it a lot online, but now we have it in book form. So what made you decide first on posting these bird excerpts online, and then leading up to this, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know more about this.
I don't really know how it became a thing, but my guess is that I traveled to Costa Rica just before the pandemic hit, and I backpacked through the jungle in Costa Rica, you know, and like I dude, I saw animals that I couldn't even dream of ever seeing, and like toucans in the wild and tapirs walking by. It's like insane. And then I went back to New York, the pandemic hit, and I fled to Berlin. And suddenly I'm like confined, you know.
So you went from Costa Rica straight to Berlin?
Costa Rica, New York, pandemic starts, and I leave like a week or two later.
Because once the pandemic hit, you didn't want to stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and especially as a, you know, not a U.S. citizen.
Not as a U.S. citizen, and without, you know, teaching remotely everything suddenly. So I was like, why staying in New York? If I can get a subletter paying the rent there and stuff. So anyway, I ended up back in my childhood room in Berlin, confined, you know, in quarantine, and the contrast was just so huge, like from backpacking in a forest in the jungle to my childhood room, like, and I cannot leave. It was insane. And then I just like found solace, if you want, like in some animal vocalization that I kind of rediscovered online, and I was just like, wow, this is actually, you know, whale songs, humpback whale songs. I don't know if you like heard a lot of them, but like, dude, I cannot listen to one without giving me the chills. It's insane. And I was like, just like suddenly like hearing, wow, this is like an augmented triad that I hear there, you know, and the inversion, this is like
Have you heard the piece by Alan Hovanes, and God created whales, God created great whales?
The George Crump piece about whales too.
The whale
symphony. There's like
I don't know that one though, but there is a Alan Hovanes.
I don't know that one.
He uses actual humpback whale sounds.
Wow, like I have to listen to.
Yeah, it was commissioned by the New York Philharmonic in the 1970s. I taught this piece to my like music.
Wow, thank you for that recommendation. Class. I have to like listen to. There's a lot actually, you know, a lot of pieces inspired.
Yeah, but there's like a history with whales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very tonal. It's almost like pentatonic. He has the orchestra playing these like pentatonic melodies, and then all of a sudden, like 3 minutes into the piece, you hear like coming. Like there was no electronics for the first 3 minutes, and then you hear all these humpback whale sounds out of nowhere, and all you see is the orchestra. You don't see any video or anything. And it was written at the time when there was like this big, activism against. There was something going on with the whales in the 70s, where they were trying to limit the number of whales that were being killed and things like that. They were trying to eradicate that part. So that commission was, I don't know if it was directly tied in with that, but it was happening at the same time. Because Alan Hovanes never did anything like this.
Well, thank you.
But anyway, continue.
I'll research about this. Super interesting. Anyway, so I started hearing them a little bit differently, and I was fascinated, and I just started like, why not trying to notate them down, you know, like for fun. I actually started with a video with a dog humping some keys at the piano. So I was back in my my childhood room, you know, like, and I was like found solace in the animal videos that I would find on YouTube, because we all YouTubed a lot during the pandemic. And so I found this one video of a dog playing, you know, like some piano notes, and he tried to reach the same notes he was actually playing. And that actually, I remember that got me thinking, wow, I couldn't notate that down. And so I did, and then I heard humpback whale sounds again, and then I decided to notate them down.
So the humpback whales was the first thing?
The dog, and then the humpback whales.
Oh wow! So like in my mind, it's birds.
No, it was.
But it wasn't birds. It was
the dog. Got me like inspired actually to like transcribe it, to see in notes what he's actually doing, and then actually the humpback whales that I transcribed, and then I was just like, wow, let me get to like animals that are like, you know, maybe sing faster, like nightingales. Thrush nightingales, common nightingales, like birds that I know very well because I'm from Berlin and we have tons of nightingales. So, and that got me started. So basically I started doing this more and more. It's a pandemic project. I tried to do at least one a month of these transcriptions. They take a lot of time, you know, because I want to be as accurate as possible, meticulous work. And I would slow down recordings to find all the microtonal inflections.
Oh, see, that was going to be my next question. How did you actually do the transcription? So you did slow it down.
Yes, but to be honest, a lot of people think it makes it way easier. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't, because it's like opening a door to Narnia or something when you slow down a recording. Because once you slow down, you hear all these elements that you cannot actually hear when you actually listen to them at real speed.
And there's artifacts.
Yes, exactly, artifacts, lots of artifacts. Also, like you would hear so many overtones that you cannot hear. And you know, birds have syrinx, not larynx, so they can produce two pitch at once. So sometimes you would hear those two pitches very clearly when you slow them down, and then you face the question: what do you actually notate?
Wow,
do you actually notate what you hear when slowed down? Do you want to be like very precise about it? But when you hear it at real speed, you'd be like, these notes are not there, so it's not a real transcription of what you actually hear. Or do you actually decide to transcribe what you would hear at real speed? So slowing it down makes it actually way more difficult.
But you did end up doing it as if it was real speed. You didn't put in the extra things that you're hearing. But it's already a lot, which you wrote
like
down.
A lot of
it's still a lot. I mean, what the final result is looks like what you're hearing.
Yes.
And it looks complicated. It looks like Ferneyhough. It looks like new complexity.
New complexity, exactly.
Which is what the beauty of it is. It's like you're bringing the nature to the music, literally. Very different than what like even Messiaen was doing.
Yes, exactly. It's actually pretty interesting because I have some transcriptions. I've seen some transcriptions that Messiaen did of butcher birds, and also of Hollis Taylor, who is a zoo musicologist in Australia. And Hollis Taylor has the original bird songs because Messiaen transcribed them from recordings.
Okay.
So you can actually compare the recordings with what Messiaen transcribed, which is pretty interesting. And it turns out that they are not as accurate.
Yeah.
So Hollis Taylor transcribed them way more accurately, and they're like two different transcriptions. Two different notes, different rhythms.
But do you think that it's because Messiaen was trying to make it more musical?
Exactly.
Like because that guy had an amazing ear. It's not like he could misheard.
Exactly.
things.
He was already composing when transcribing.
Right.
So if you see both transcriptions, you would take Messiaen's to give to a musician. You know what I mean?
Right.
You'd be like, oh, this is the one I'm giving to a musician. You could actually read this and play along. Whereas Hollis Taylor's one, or the ones I write, you cannot give to a musician and be like, start, play.
Yeah, because these things that you're writing, that you're transcribing, I mean, like they're impossible to play.
Impossible.
You cannot play these things on even a violin. And some of these notes I was shocked how high some of these pitches were. They were like 3-4 octaves above
the piano, the end of the piano. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, I didn't even realize that I hear birds all the time, and it's like I don't even realize those pitches were actually that high.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way above the range of the piano or any other instrument. Way above. So it's difficult to notate and obviously difficult to play. But so this I try to be as accurate as possible. You know, in these transcriptions, as accurate as possible. So in the beginning, I did a lot of mistakes too. You know, I would like use time signatures and like stuff like that, or like use not like octava signs above the clef and stuff like that. But I think in the end, they turned out, now after 2 years, they're pretty legit, I would say. You know, now I like found my system too to like separate different birds, different song from the next one by using rehearsal marks. And I have my system also to indicate sounds that have a lot of noise in them, and differentiate them with pitches that are more pure whistles or sounds, pitches, and just noise too. So I found my own system. It's all described in the book. So in the end I decided, why not, making a small book out of it. And so I decided to take 10 different birds from different continents. So I have, America, I have Europe, I have Africa, I have Australia, and I have Asia, a bird that's, is endemic to Japan, but also migrates to China. And to have a kind of audiovisual representation of the world through birdsong. It's actually kind of, you can kind of see also like that they are very different from each other. It's very fascinating. And the coolest thing though is the South American bird called the uirapuru. It's a musician wren. You know it as musician wren in the US. Dude, it's a bird that lives in the Amazon rainforest, okay? So in Brazil mostly. Dude, it has like rhythms of samba when it sings.
Really?
Isn't it so cool?
That's like kind of freaky.
It's very freaky. You would have these like syncopated like da 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 da, like, I mean, and felt like it.
I mean, it's kind of like nightmarish in a way.
I do.
Like a kind of certain mythos to it.
Yes,
also.
I mean, I know the history of samba is way more complex,
right,
with also like African influence and so forth, but still very.
When you hear the birds doing it, that's like a different level, obviously.
You're like just like, okay, I can imagine that at the carnival in Rio or something, but that's actually a bird.
That's actually what's happening.
Yes.
And it's not like your perception putting that on it. There could be a little bit of that also. I mean, I wonder, but you've been doing it so long that...
so long, 2 years or 2.5 years is not so long. But
long enough because you have a background, and it's not like you're like someone in the bird field, that is trying to do something musical. You're a musical person trying to go into that.
That's
so
true.
You're approaching it from a musical side,
but still,
not even a cultural side. You're approaching it from a strictly musical side.
But there's still a choice to take. Like like when you hear this bird, you could be like deplacing everything on the beat by like a 16th note, and it would not be felt like a syncopation.
Right. Where did the downbeats go?
Exactly. So that's like a very important choice to make. But sometimes you would hear accents and you'd be like, oh, this is for sure felt like that.
Yeah.
But like the example where like da ba 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 da ba da ba, you can, if you deplace it by an eighth, suddenly it will be like a completely different thing.
God, I mean, how?
Like, do you hear it as like da da ba ba da, or do you hear it like da da da? It's like so different.
No, it's completely different. And when you're composing just like normal music, you have to make those decisions all the time.
Yeah.
Also.
No, so there's like, it's a lot of choice. It's like a little bit of how I feel rhythm on this bird. So like, I can try to be as accurate as possible, but there will always be a lot of like, how to say, like interpretation.
Have you ever do you ever look back on any of the ones from like a year or 2 years ago and be like, I messed this one up, or like I could have done that better, or do you feel like, no, those are the best I could do?
In terms of notation, I could do a lot of them better.
Yeah.
But in terms of finding rhythm stuff, I would be like, no, they're great.
The rhythms are those are the rhythms.
Oh,
that's it. Yeah.
The rhythm is always the first thing I do.
Yeah.
So I would like, also to decide what the metrum or the meter is, or like not the meter, the beat.
Yeah.
Because they might change over time, right? So how do you like put a certain beat, a regular beat, over a long phrase?
Right.
Because birds don't think in beats.
Right.
So I found my own technique. You calculate the BPM for like the amount of things you crop out of the audio file. Then you have, like I would hear to like a phrase that's like 5, 6, 7 long and be like, oh, here I hear a steady beat almost. And then I have to calculate how much it is in like BPMs and so forth. And then for this section, I would create this.
Yeah, it's almost like a film score in a way.
Looking
at the action on screen and kind of matching it, and then doing your time code, and then moving to another one and putting a different time signature, and that's a new time code.
But I would not use time signatures though.
Right.
So it's just like beats.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But exactly, it's it. So I would be like for this 12 beats, it's.
So was the idea always to, because now I see these things all the time. I see not birds specifically, but anything being transcribed. I see this on my feed all the time. I mean, did you ever see anything like this before you start posting on? I think Instagram is the main thing you post on, right? And also a little bit on YouTube too, but mostly it's the Instagram, I think. Did you ever see anything like this before?
I mean,
or did you?
I've seen like, there's a book by this, no, I don't remember the name. There's a British composer of the 19th century, I forgot his name, who wrote a book.
Yeah.
And who transcribed a lot of animal sounds too, but they are like very easy and straightforward, right? So he would be like, the nightingales like, tew, 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 like something like this. Like, and he writes it down in music notes. So, okay. And he writes the horse does like, and then you have like a trill followed by a lot of notes, that descending notes.
So
it's not very accurate.
Right. I feel the same way when I see transcriptions of like Arabic, like traditional Arabic music. Because it's not a music that could be read. It's all by ear. But people do try to transcribe it, and when it's transcribed, it's like you try to play it yourself. You're like, well, this is not Arabic music anymore. This is like a very kind of simplified thing, and you have to kind of fill in the gaps yourself. But you have to be trained to in the music without the notation to be able to fill in those gaps. So it's kind of interesting that kind of relationship between nature, you transcribing it, and like this, not just Arabic music, but all sorts of folk, non-Western music is like this. Yeah,
which is orally transmitted, and you feel like it's impossible to.
Like instinctual, like a bird, or a whale, or anything.
I mean, it's impossible to write down with 100% accuracy.
Yeah,
it's impossible. That is for sure. I mean, again, we were speaking about artifacts or all these overtones. It's impossible to notate, or two notes that you would hear slowed down or not. So all these like inflection or feel that you have to an Arabic music, and like these minimal inflections of some tones.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because how many cents will you alter a note to make it sound like the music you're known?
Yeah.
Right. So impossible. That's why I also use like microtonal notation, but that just shows in which direction the pitch.
Yeah, I don't think you put like +3 cents or
exactly.
+5 cents.
I could but this would take me a year for like one bird song.
Yeah, and then you have to always have like a center. Like, what's your pitch? Is it A equals 440 hertz?
Exactly.
It's like what is your like center then?
Yes.
What's then that's another problem. It's like, okay, which one should I pick for nature? Should it be 440 or 442?
Yeah.
Should I even compare it to like a traditional European setting? And then that opens up another can of worms. So I think what you did makes sense.
Yeah, just thinking about it gives me a headache. Like, yeah. No, that's like, I think it's impossible. And that's why I'm always like I'm a little bit frustrated actually right now, because, I use a lot of birdsong in my music now too. And I have also sometimes musicians perform these transcriptions.
Oh, really?
Like,
they actually play these?
Yeah, I mean, some of them, I actually performed.
Yeah.
And so I submitted all my transcriptions to the German ASCAP society, which is called GEMA. And I said, like, these are my compositions.
Sure, why not?
I mean,
sure.
I transcribe a bird song as accurately.
The bird is not going to collect royalties.
No, but then also, like a painter depicts a landscape as accurately as he can, and the painting is his. But if I depict a song of a bird as accurately as I can, and it's not my composition, and there's a lot of interpretation.
But did they say it was not your composition?
So guess what? Like, they recently, like I think a month ago, 3 weeks ago, they sent me an email, because some of my videos have been seen so often that I was like, and also with performers playing them.
Right.
It's just like, do I get like money from that? And they sent me a letter. This was 2 years ago that I submitted this.
But that was kind of at the start of all this.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they just responded like a month ago. So they said, no, these are not your compositions. We cannot do this. And then they changed all my submissions, my compositions, from copyrightable to not copyrightable and stuff like this on ASCAP. So the GEMA, okay, not ASCAP, GEMA did this. And I was just like a little bit angry, because I'm like, wow, so this thing is like public domain, non-copyrightable. Everyone can have this, but like, it's so much work.
But it is.
So much work.
But if someone not you would have transcribed those birds, it wouldn't look like what you did, though.
Exactly. So it's like
the same way a painter, if you painted, this background here, it would look different than what I painted, even if we both tried to do it as realistically as we could.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
That's what I mean. Like, if that's what I told them too. And I actually met with some IP lawyers. I was talking about them. They were like, one of them said like, too, if another composer would have to transcribe these songs, would it look the same? I'd be like, hell no. It would look so different, because we were speaking about these choices you take, right? Like, where do you start?
Yeah, there's no way.
So there's like so many choices. Do you slow them down? Do you write those artifacts down? Yes, no, whatever choice, what notation do you use? So very different. Still, they said like, no.
It would be a great like video idea. Like, you take like 5 random, let's say 5 of your subscribers that are composers, okay? and you all agree to transcribe a bird or whatever that you haven't done, and all 5 of you do it completely separately, and they film the process of them doing it,
And then show the difference in the end.
And then show the end, like the very end of the video will be like, okay, this is composer A, composer B. Don't even put names, or you can put names, I guess, but show that they're not related at all. They're in 5, maybe they're in 5 different countries. And they haven't seen each other's work. They're working independently. And then look at how, obviously the contour will be very similar, but the same thing when you see 2 paintings, the contour will be, you'll see a tree there. They'll both have trees there, but that tree will be a slightly different color, or it'll have, the branches are not in the same exact place, but there will be a tree on that left side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that will be what it is.
That's such a good idea. Maybe I should do that.
It will take work.
It's not so much work if you take like a song that's not so complicated.
Yeah, I'm
like
sure.
30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be like 5.
And the difference is like if you give them if you give me a Charlie Parker solo, or all of us a Charlie Parker solo, we will all end up with the same result.
Okay, so how about we do this? Comment down below if you want to be part of this project. How about that?
Yeah.
So I say 5. I don't know if 5, at least 5. Let's see.
Let's 3 would be fine already.
Let's make Alex do 5, not 3. Want at least 5 comments down below if you got this far in this little conversation. Yeah. And let's see if we can make this happen, because this is crazy.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And not long, will not take too much time.
Because you're already not making, excuse me, but we composers don't, especially concert composers, we're already not making much money from...
Much of that money, no.
Especially from royalties. It's
exactly. That's not much at all.
Yeah, so this would be something I'm interested in seeing.
Anyway, so with the game I was like a little bit furious because all these stuff are like just hanging there. They're question marks. Yeah. Nobody knows. But in the end, one of the IP lawyers also told me, first, IP law varies depending on the country.
Right.
And fair or not fair, you just have to deal with it, with the law that is in your country. But the definition of music changes from one country to the next, and that's the big thing. Makes sense. That's a huge difference. I went in that rabbit hole, how you call this, I went down that rabbit hole of definitions of music. Dude, that's insane. German definitions, French definition, American, English British definition, so different. And for example, the Larousse in the French dictionary is the only one that actually mentions expressivity.
Whatever that means.
But it's also the only one that says that music is only man-made human. That's a huge deal.
Man-made human. So what?
It's human. The others don't specify that it's only human. So when you speak of a bird song, it's music. So the other definitions don't say it's only music. So it could be coming from the animal kingdom.
And what do these people get out of it also, that not making it copyrightable? What's the flip side? Because it's not going to be like all these people all of a sudden are going to start transcribing everything they hear and calling it their piece. Is that what it is?
I guess it's the money, because some of the videos on Facebook, something I've been seeing, the one that does to digital share 3.3 million times or something.
One of your videos?
Yeah. So with the transcriptions, and I submitted it and was like, this is my work.
It can't be that. Even a video with 3 million hits is not going to give you more than maybe, I don't even think it's in the past the thousands. I don't think it's
I have no idea.
I don't think so. And they're short. They're not long videos.
They're short. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, these videos also make the companies like Instagram, YouTube, whatever, they make ad revenue from these videos, because people see them and they put an ad before them or after them.
Exactly. So and the thing
they're
is
making money off of these videos.
So in this book you have QR codes that actually link the transcription
to
the original bird song, so you can follow along the score, but you have at the beginning of every song
you can take it
here, for example, up. Here,
Right, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but there's a QR code over there.
There's a QR code, and then there's the transcription. So you just go in there and it redirects you to a YouTube video that shows the bird and this actual song. So you can go along, and if you're not a musician, you can still follow and see where you are. Basically like a conceptual artwork. You can
because even if you're not a musician,
exactly,
you can still follow the contour of what's going on. You don't need to, and you do put words like jazzy, otherworldly, lamenting, like the siren of a passing fire truck. I mean, you do put these like kind of Debussyan comments throughout the piece that kind of help the viewer know what you are thinking when you're doing this.
But the thing is too, YouTube put commercials on these videos.
Of course.
But I cannot monetize my account.
Right.
Because I haven't reached, a certain amount of view time or whatever.
Watch hours?
Yeah,
you haven't hit I think it's 4,000.
Yeah, no, because also hours. YouTube shorts don't count.
Oh, right, the shorts don't count. That's right.
So,
unless you put them all like together in like a 3-minute video, maybe.
So basically now they put commercials on these things, but I don't want to put commercials on these things.
Right. Well, you don't really have a choice. They're going to. But I don't have a choice. They're going to put it on whether you want them or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, So they make profit out of this.
While the German version of ASCAP doesn't want you to. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were making something out of this.
No, literally.
So there's literally nothing. Just the book.
Nothing. Yes. Just the book.
Okay. So tell you what. For anyone that's still here,
support my work.
I'll leave a link for this down in the description below, and you could you can buy this book and look through it, put it on your bookcase. If you have a bird's nest, you can put it next to it. Yeah. And
oh my God. Well, it's a great gift.
Well, it's crazy because I thought of you because my grandpa passed away recently, and he had a big bird like sanctuary in his backyard in Arizona. Yeah. He had like 50 birds. I mean, all these birds, like parakeets, like everywhere. And and he built this this huge like kind of box thing, and that was his project. Like in his later years, he was just last like 5 years of his life, he was taking care of these birds, and he never had any animals before. I mean, he used to have a big garden, but then they moved to this other house that had no garden, so he just took care of these birds. And so and now after he passed, they took the birds away. So this kind of this project for me, every time I see it, I think of my grandpa. So yeah, so it's a great thing you're doing in general. But I'm wondering also you spent a lot of time on this, and you have obviously you're still writing your own music. I know you graduated from MSM, but you're also writing your own music besides teaching. And does this relate at all to the music that you write, or is it you try to keep them separate, or maybe a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Yeah. I have this mixture. I mean, birdsong became more and more important to me too. Because also at the beginning of the pandemic, I don't know if you were like creative and if you could write.
No, not for the first 6 months.
Yeah,
I wasn't writing.
So I was like, when we speak of writer's block, it's the first time I think really experienced one, like where it was just like, I want to write something, but I just can't. That was just like, and I know other composers did write a lot.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
Or they say they wrote a lot.
Yes, I know. But
I don't know what they're actually doing.
Yes, I remember some friends being like, "Wow, like giving birth to one piece to the next, basically." And so and suddenly I started doing this, and suddenly I was just like, they fueled my creativity. I mean, it was insane. In one of these birdsong, in one of the Nightingale songs, I found jazz licks.
Like actual jazz licks?
Yeah, jazz licks, or like the theme from La Valse by Ravel. This like
stop saying that. You're gonna get this video.
Yeah, sorry. And I was just like, wow, but like Nightingale's birdsong have it on. So sometimes I would just like take small snippets of them and actually implement them in my music and start developing the ideas, and it was awesome. It was like a great way to kill that writer's block. Suddenly I was like, wow, this is highly inspiring, really inspiring. And so like I just finished a piece for wind quintet, which is called Quarasha, and it's based on this South American bird, the uirapu that we mentioned before. Mm-hmm. So I kind of based it on the legend of the bird, because it's a very mythical creature in South America, especially in Brazil. There's lots of legends around it, and some of them are of Tupi origins, so the indigenous people of Brazil, and some of the legends are great. And so I based this piece on the legend of Tupi origins and on the actual bird song. So I had to transcribe it. Yes, a little bit of both. And so this becomes more and more important in my music as well.
And it's wind quintet, so it's like flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and horn. French horn.
Yes.
Right? Horn.
Yeah. And no bass clarinets, no English horn.
No doublings.
No doublings.
Anything like that.
Just it's a 9-minute piece.
Okay, all in one movement?
Yes.
I saw on your website earlier that you have a bunch of shows going on in Germany, right?
Yes. So I actually wrote this wind quintet. It was a commission by the Brazilian Winds Ensemble. So it's 5 Brazilian musicians based in Berlin, in Germany. And they commissioned this work because they got a grant from the German state. So, and it's like the year of, I think it's the 200 something anniversary of Brazil or something.
Okay.
So they decided to ask a German composer to write something on the Brazilian topic.
Wow, okay. So it was like a specific commission idea. Like you didn't come up with the Brazilian thing. That they kind of, okay.
But I decided to use a Brazilian bird.
That, right, well that makes sense.
The legends.
That's a good way to enter into it. Otherwise, how would you have done it? Yeah.
And so the piece, they're going to tour I think in 7 or 8 German cities, major cities, and play the piece. So which I'm very. And
are you going over there to see any of the shows?
No, actually they're starting the first show is in a week.
Oh wow! Have you heard any of it yet? Or you haven't heard any rehearsals, or so you don't have no idea what it sounds like?
No idea.
Wow.
I mean, I have an idea of what it sounds like, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
you haven't heard little excerpts or of certain parts to test out or anything like this?
No.
Wow.
It's not super easy, but it's not also highly complex.
Okay.
So the legend is actually pretty interesting by this bird. It's like so Quaracha, the name of the piece, is actually the name of the hero of this legend. So Quaracha is actually the one that's gonna be transformed in this bird in this story. So it's the story of this actually warrior and bamboo flute player, Quaracha, and he falls in love, obviously like every other legend, in this a girl called Anahi, who is already married to a village chieftain. So he's desperate, and he goes in the forests and cries, and there the god Tupa appears and has such pity for him that he transforms him in the Uirapuru, the bird, the musician bird, which is a very colorful bird and which has like a beautiful song, beautifully melodious. Actually, it's the bird likes perfect intervals, which is very interesting too. So you have a lot of perfect octaves, you have a lot of perfect fourth, fifth. So it sounds to us, or to a lot of people, it would sound like tonal. Yeah. In one way, nothing compared to the nightingales, which have like lots of noise and like huge leaps. So now, as the bird, as the Uirapuru, Quaracha can actually woo the love of his life because she loves bird songs and birds. But the legend says that Quaracha would only transform back to a human state if she would recognize that it is him.
Right, it's like the Princess and the Frog kind of story, a little bit like that, right?
Though the bird still sings today.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have a happy ending like that.
No,
well, it's not a Disney. It's not a Disney movie.
No, it's not Disney. That's no. So it's kind of melancholic. Very, Brazilian people would say like saudade. It's like this non-translatable word of like nostalgia. And so, it's it's a very dramatic story. And, so whenever you hear this, you still like have this like. And so my idea over the entire piece was like in the beginning I kind of created my own melody based on one of the transcriptions of the song I've done, basically imitating a bamboo flute in the beginning, how it would sound like. And through the entire arc, the entire journey of the piece is the legend put into sounds basically, but in the end you have the actual transcription of the bird. So basically you have the development from the improvised bamboo flute song that is based on the transcription of the bird, to the actual song.
Right, it's like a theme and variations in reverse, kind of.
Yes.
Well, not really variations, but the...
Yes, it's the transformation from what might have been Kwarasha's bamboo flute tune to the actual bird song.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Or like a sonata form with the development first and the exposition last, maybe.
Yeah, it's a good idea about the, the form is like, I mean, since it's very programmatic, I was just following like the steps of the stories. But yeah, if you want, it's a or rondo form too in some ways, because I have the beginning, which is like kind of related to the middle. In the middle, I have like this song always appears every now and then, like transformed.
Yeah.
Variation.
Is there a way to hear the piece at all? Is it streaming? Is it?
I can send you the MIDI file.
The MIDI file?
No. I don't think it's going to be streamed, but I think they want to record it.
Okay.
So once it's recorded, I can send it to you. It's like,
course. Send it to me and I'll put it as a comment down below.
Yes.
Like if it's 3 months from now or something and people might watch this, then I'll put it.
Yeah, it depends how long your post-production.
Huh?
How long the post-production.
Post-production?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Of this interview. How long you're working on this. Does it make sense? Because in 3 months.
It won't be in 3 months. Don't worry.
Okay, I don't know.
It'll probably be, we're recording this on, what is today? Thursday. It'll probably be out by Sunday this week. Yeah, it'll probably be out by then. So it'll be, if you're watching this when it's coming out, it's Sunday, hopefully. Maybe I'm going to eat my words, but yeah, it should be. Every Sunday I try to post one long form video, and then throughout the week I have short videos. Yeah, so
I'm impressed.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Yeah, little by little, but no, I'm excited to eventually hear the piece. I like everything you got going on here.
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
It's close to home for me, like I was saying, and I feel like I don't know if you've had explain any of this on camera or anything like this before. Have you talked about this before with because on your channel, it's you never see your face, you never see the person behind it, and it's. I feel like
maybe I should show more my face, like to the world. Yes, so I was lucky enough to have CBS Sunday Morning.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yes, come to my place end of January or early February, I don't remember. And they are working on so they are that's why I was mentioning the post-production.
Oh, well, they have a lot of stuff.
So they are still working on the post-production of it, but the director told me that the story is slowly coming together, but I don't know when it's going to be released.
So they filmed it in January, and right now, as we're filming
post-production is
it's
like
October.
Almost done. Yes.
Wow, but it's not going to be. I've seen those CBS Sunday Morning shows. I subscribe to them on YouTube. Each segment is like not even 10 minutes.
Yes. So I mean, they told me that the feature will be like 5 to 8 minutes long, which is a lot of time. I mean, that's national television stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because I'm speaking about something that's not out yet, right?
Yeah.
But so they filmed 8 hours at my place.
In New York?
Yes.
So what about your roommates?
Yes, my roommates were there. They were looking at me. I had this entire camera.
Who is this guy that's in our apartment? He's a celebrity.
It was insane. It was the first time for me, standing in front of these like huge monitors and screens with all this lighting around.
Yeah, more lighting than here. This is.
And the reporter coming on the side. The director actually came from Seattle to do that. So it was like, and then we actually went to MSM too. So I walked into school with this camera team and
following you around.
Yeah, it was like insane. So I talked about this project.
Yeah, you mean you had this with you? I'm assuming.
The book I didn't know. The book wasn't published yet.
Yeah.
So
right, because that was I guess back in January, so it's been a while.
Yes, the book was published in March.
No, it's great because CBS Sunday Morning they did like a feature on John Williams.
Wow.
They did a feature on Teddy Abrams. With the Louisville Orchestra, so they do like classical music features every now and then. They did one on Leonard Bernstein, so they're like a little bit more.
Damn, you say all these names, and I feel like
no pressure. You already did it, so I'm ready.
Oh my God.
I'm already saying it.
Jesus,
you already did it, so there's no pressure. It's out of your hands now, but
true.
It's a big deal being part of that. I mean, I literally watch it every Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, I watch it every Sunday morning on
God,
YouTube.
so yeah, one day you might see my face.
Yeah, I'll get a suggested video for you, hopefully. Oh, it will, because I watch it all the time.
Yeah, no, like it was a bit strange too, because like literally the day before, I thought it's only gonna happen in my living room, at my place. Like we contacted Manhattan School of Music, we're gonna go there too, and you'll play piano. I'd be like, okay, I'm not a pianist, like that even a professional musician needs time ahead of time, needs to practice and gets like.
But they just wanted you to play anything?
Play one of your songs, play one of your tunes,
care, just
and
anything.
Stuff, like anything. So I was just like, still, like I hadn't been playing like in a long time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my God, shit. Sorry, it's gonna be a beep over there. And so
that's okay. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. I practiced a little bit, and then I went there and they're like, play some, Chopin stuff. So I played the C# minor nocturne stuff, and I would just be like, okay, let's do this again and stuff. But it was like a little bit, I was just like, oh my God, how people don't know that I'm not a pianist per se, But I think overall it went good.
I think they'll use that as like kind of B-roll, like they'll be talking about you and then your project, and they'll kind of show clips, and one of them will be you, because they have to show you doing something. They can't just see you kind of just sitting in your room, or maybe they film you like writing on manuscript paper or something. Yeah, they have to show that you're like a musician.
Yeah, true.
Because people don't really get what composers do.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Yes. They also wanted me to send pictures of my Costa Rica trip, and then in the pandemic to show the contrast and stuff like that. So I was just like, okay, the only picture I had I wasn't taking a lot of selfies, during the pandemic. I don't know about you, but like in quarantine, that's not what you like to do.
Yeah.
Like, with your hair.
Oh, they wanted stuff like that?
Yeah, because they want to showcase the contrast between the Costa Rica trip and then the pandemic quarantine. And I only had one picture, and that's like a selfie, me in front of like my laptop in front of Zoom, about to teach a class, and I look so tired.
Well, that's probably what they wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only one I had.
The worst that you could be.
Yes. Oh my God. So I don't know what they're gonna use, what they're gonna do. I don't think they're gonna send me what they've done for approval.
You're right.
So I just have like, okay, as you say, like just wait and see. Like, yeah. So.
That would be great, and I'm excited for that. And I mean, definitely when the piece comes out, I want to put it down in the comments below. When this CBS special comes out, I want to put it down in the comments below. So please keep me apprised, and that's going to be fun. And follow Alex Liebermann on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. He has an Instagram. What else do you have?
Facebook page.
Facebook page. I'll put it down in the description below.
And I have recently created a TikTok account.
And a TikTok account. There you go. Man of many talents.
I hate it. Sorry.
You can't say that now. They got to follow you on TikTok.
No. I'm thinking about deleting it. No, really, for real. I don't know. Have you on TikTok?
I have a few things, but it's been like a year since I posted. I only do YouTube right now.
Yes,
that's what I like. That's what I watch. That's what I post.
No, I can't with TikTok. So don't follow me on TikTok. I just wanted to say it. Like, maybe for the younger audience. They're all like
Well, I'll put that all in the description below. So follow Alex. We'll keep you apprised on what he's up to, the CBS show, the wind quintet he's got going on. I put his website down in the description below. And if you want to watch any other kind of conversations like this with composers, I have one right over here somewhere that you can click on. And until next time, see you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Saad, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.